So let's have a look at it together. It says a random variable x has a probability density function given by that, where x is in the interval between 0 and 10. Okay? We should write some of this down. This is going to be important, right? So I've got this f of x. I'm going to write it with lowercase x's because I'm slightly lazy. And then I have a domain restriction on x, so it's between 0 and 10. What's the mean or expected value of x? So you will get this question posed to you in either form. They'll say, give me the mean, give me the expected value. As you can see, they mean the same thing, okay? They mean the same thing. All right. Now, you can see right at the top there, okay? I was very, I could just have handed you that formula, right, and just say, just use it. In fact, you don't really need to know anything about where it comes from. But for me, that's the opposite of mathematics, just using a formula because you get told it. So I just wanted to go through that preamble so you knew where it came from. But now that we do know where it comes from, I can go ahead and work out what the expected value is using this formula here, right? Expected value is, I'm going to form my integral, and then I'm just going to put my calculus hat on, and then off I go. Okay? So for starters, I need some boundaries for this integral, right?
0 to 10.
0 to 10. These are the start and end points of my probability density function. And then what I put in to integrate here, usually we're like, oh, okay, integrate your probability density function. Now, if I'm going from 0 to 10, and if I just put in this, you already know what the answer will be. If you integrate a probability density function over its entire domain, you should get 1, right? Because that's all the probabilities, right? But I'm not working out a probability, I'm working out an expected value. So that's why I'm going to put an extra x in there, which indicates me multiplying the probability by the score. Do you remember us doing that? 5, 10, 15, etc.? Okay. Great, so there's the x, and then here comes the f of x. 1 over 5 minus x on 50 with respect to x. There you go. So what I've done is I've said this is how I'm going to work out my expected value, and now I can almost forget where this came from and just start doing the calculus on this. I reckon we can probably do one more thing to make it a little easier, which is you can see I've got a product here at the moment. Product. I don't have a reverse product rule in my head, so I'm going to expand that out and then go term by term when I integrate. Is that okay? So it looks to me I'm going to get x on 5 minus x squared on 50. Fantastic. I don't know what that dot's doing there. And let's go for it. Okay. Integral of x on 5.
So x squared over 10.
X squared, and then I divide it by the 2 with the 5 that's already there. That's why we get x squared on 10. What about this guy? X cubed over 150. Fantastic. And then I'm going to evaluate from 0 to 10. Looks good so far. Could I simplify this? Yeah, I mean, there's some common factors here. There's a constant common factor, and there's also x common factors. But I want to point out, I actually was doing some of this working myself, and I noticed that you don't save a huge amount of time. I guess this is where it pays attention. It pays to pay attention to what your function is and whether you get much benefit out of it. For example, if I factorized out this x, I'm still going to have to substitute it in a couple places anyway. So you know what? I'm just going to use it as it is. Upper boundary, then lower boundary. Yeah, so here comes the upper boundary. 10 squared on 10, take away. 10 cubed on 150, right? There's my upper boundary.
Minus 50 over 3.
I'm not quite there yet. I haven't finished this bit yet. Even though it's not going to matter, but because I've got 0 here, as frequently happens, I think it is still important to show, here's my upper boundary. Here's my lower boundary. That's what definite integrals have. And then I'm going to go for it. Okay, someone already popped this into the calculator? Sarang, I think you said you hadn't. I can't read it. Can you tell me?
Minus 50 over 3.
Minus 50 over 3?
280.
That sounds wrong. 10 over 3? 10 over 3 sounds more like it. Okay, now, just real quick, right? I didn't know what the answer was, but I knew it wasn't minus 50 over 3. And your calculator is going to hand you numbers all the time. You have to be able to look at them and instantly know, that's ridiculous. Why is that ridiculous?
Because it's negative.
It's negative, right? The values I'm going to get are going to be, when you have a look at this function, right, between 0 and 10, you can even think to yourself, where is this going to go? At 0, you're going to be here, 1 over 50. At 10, you're going to be at 10 over 50, so it goes from 1 down to, 1 over 5 down to 0, right? So you're never going to get into negatives, yeah? So that's why you're okay, I know that's not going to be it, okay? Are you happy with that? Does that make sense? Now, I did say, and I'd love you to just, you don't need to do this for the question, but let's just quickly draw up what this looks like, okay? And I even did half the work for you. You've got a y-intercept there at 1/5, and it has a very, very gentle negative gradient. Do you see that? 1/50, okay? So it's going to go all the way down very slowly, and it's going to collide with here. When I do x equals 10, you get a fifth minus 10/50. That's a fifth minus a fifth. Yeah? So this value 10 is where my intercept is, okay? Now I've gotten this 10/3. What's that as a mixed numeral? 10/3. That's like 3 1/3, right? So if I call that 5 halfway, so 3 1/3 is about here, right? So what I'm saying is, in there, that's where my mean will be. You're like, oh, that actually makes sense to me because the mean should be, like, I've got more scores around here, it's more probability, less scores around here, so it makes sense I'm on this side of halfway. Are you happy with that?